And I thought I could talk about faith and leadership in the sense of, leadership in terms of titles. I mean, that's one way to think about faith and leadership. I'm a assistant professor of theology. That's a title. Miguel's a director of campus ministry, right? So, that's a title. You could be a pastor. You could be a priest. You could be a religious. Those are all titles. And they suggest that you're a leader in faith, but they don't necessarily mean that you are just because you have the title. They mean that you have certain degrees, perhaps, or that you've gone through certain classes or courses or had special training. It doesn't necessarily make you a leader in faith. And then the contrapositive of that is that if you don't have those degrees, if you don't have a PhD in theology, which many very fine theologians do not, I just read an article that was critical of, well, I forget what it was criticizing, but basically there's an author who was making some criticisms from a theological point of view about some positions that he didn't like that another individual had made. And this author did not have a PhD in theology. And a bunch of theology professors, not me, but a bunch of theology professors wrote an op-ed in the New York Times that was about a paragraph long saying that they disagreed with him and he didn't have the qualifications to say what he said and he shouldn't have said those things, and they are disappointed that the New York Times published it. So essentially they were trying to censor him. And Auxiliary Bishop Robert Barron, who you might have heard of before, if you're Catholic in the Catholic world, it's a very big name, wrote an essay in response to the New York Times piece saying that it was basically improper for these academics to try to censor this individual, saying, if you disagree with him, then tell us why he's wrong. Marshal your evidence, make an argument. But the fact that because he doesn't have a PhD in theology disqualifies him to talk about faith is absurd on the face of it. Because here are some other people who are disqualified. C.S. Lewis is out, for example. He can't talk about faith. Then there's this whole long list.